Federal government commences plan to industrialize Nigeria through the steel industry. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory embarks on tour of project sites within the city center. Plus, oil prices higher on Federal Reserve comments on inflation and Middle East tensions. This is Business Express coming to you live from the network service of the NTA. I'm Musa Abubakar, your guide. And now let's bring you up to speed with business development. The United Nations World Economic Situation and Prospects report for 2024 indicates a slight increase in Nigeria's growth rate, projected to rise from 2.9% in 2023 to 3.1% in 2024. The report shows that Africa's growth rate is to rise from 3.3% in 2023 to 3.5% in 2024. In contrast, global growth is expected to decelerate from 2.7% in 2023 to 2.4% in 2024. The report reveals that least developed countries are anticipated to achieve a growth rate of 5% in 2024. However, this falls short of the 7% growth target outlined in the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. Also, the United Nations 2024 World Economic Situation and Prospects report warns of a global economic slowdown, with growth projected to fall from 2.7% in 2023 to 2.4% in 2024, despite initially exceeding expectations following the pandemic. The report highlights underlying risk and vulnerabilities masked by 2023's stronger than expected GDP growth. The short-term outlook is based on persistently high interest rates, further escalation of conflicts, sluggish international trade, and increasing climate disasters, which all pose significant challenges to global growth. As part of efforts to industrialize Nigeria through the steel industry, the federal government has commenced discussions with a Chinese company to build a new steel plant in Nigeria and commence the building of military hardwires in Ajakuta steel plant. This was during the visit by a delegation of Minister of Steel Development Prince Shuaibu Abubakar Audu, the Minister of Defense Muhammad Badaru, and the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Steel Development Merogbe in their tour of the company's facilities in China. The Steel Minister Prince Audu says the trip to China is one of the steps being taken to realize the goals of reviving the steel industry in Nigeria, in line with the renewed hopes agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He notes that work has commenced to create an operational steel industry that will attract billions of dollars of foreign direct investment into the country, open up the nation's economy, and create job opportunities, which form the core of the renewed hope agenda. He further noted that building military hardwires in the Ajakuta steel plant is also timely, considering that Nigeria is faced with security challenges, adding that this will help in the fight against insecurity and terrorism. Now, the gross monthly distribution by the Federation Allocation Committee to the 3 tiers of government amounted to 1.1 trillion naira in December 2023. The gross disbursements in November represents an increase of 182 billion naira, or 20% month-on-month over the previous month's payout. December's allocation also matches the year's highest distribution, which was made in August of 23rd, when 1.1 trillion naira was disbursed to the three levels of government. The significant month-on-month rise in revenue was underpinned by an increase of 80% month-on-month in exchange rate gain to 365 billion naira. The government's fiscal purse was also supported by increases of 23% month-on-month and 4% month-on-month in statutory revenue and value-added tax to 376 billion naira and 336 billion naira. And now let's turn to our discussion segment. On our discussion segment, we shall assess 2024 budget allocation to the agricultural sector and the move by the federal government to address food insecurity as the renewed hope agenda is set to prioritize agriculture amongst other key areas of the economy. Joining me is architect Kabir Ibrahim, President of Farmers Association of Nigeria. You're welcome to Business Express. You have seen the sectorial allocation, which is 110.24 billion naira. What do you make of it?
Well, it's grossly inadequate. We've been harping on, from the Maputo Declaration, something like 10% of all the budgets of countries in this hemisphere. So anything short of that is a bit low. We hope that other sectors that have cross-cutting issues with agriculture will have the needed help in the economy.
Okay, but what were you expecting?
Like we were expecting the government to do something a lot better. I would appreciate something like 5-6% of the total budget dedicated to agriculture, especially coming at the backdrop of the declaration of emergency on food security. We should walk our talk. We should be able to do those things that will incentivize farmers to work more assiduously towards attaining food security in Nigeria.
Okay, the fact that you disagree with this amount that is allocated to agriculture, do you agree that this budget align with broader strategy to reduce dependence on food imports and achieve self-sufficiency?
Of course, the effort is very good. There are many windows open to assist farmers to be able to produce what we need to eat and what we need to feed the over 200 million mouths in Nigeria. There are many windows. We were talking specifically about the budget. There are many other interventions, and those ones also help in making agriculture viable in Nigeria. And the attainment of food security, I think, is the desired thing in the long run. Food sufficiency and then food security for all.
Okay, you said you're the president of All Farmers Association. Was there no collaboration with the government when fashioning out this particular budget?
Of course there is, but you should know that government will make the budget. Okay. We can make our own suggestions and all that. And what I said was not a collaboration that started now. If you remember, since 2002, the declaration for having every country in this hemisphere to go towards 10% of its annual budget in agricultural production or in agriculture as a whole has been there. Every person here, this matter has come up. I answered you because you mentioned it. And if you look at the budget, if they say it's about 28 point something trillion, and you mentioned the amount that was allocated to agriculture, I would definitely find that percentage very low. Because what you are saying is like 1.09% or thereabout. And that is abysmal. That is very low. But so I put it to you that as far as we are concerned, we are talking to the facts that you are reeling out.
Okay. But if you also look at the sectorial allocation, you discover that a lot of this money goes to security, that's defense. And I believe one of the complaints of farmers is the fact that there are no securities. I mean, there's no security in the farms. So what do you make of that move by the government?
Well, you see, the declaration for the attainment of food security comes with it declaration of state of emergency on insecurity,
Okay.
on availability of mechanization, on availability of good seeds, on availability of everything that will help agriculture to work. So if you say that there is a lot of money earmarked for defense so that our farmers will go to our farms seamlessly, it is a very good thing to do. But it is only one of the things that should be done. And then agriculture itself, that is the act of farming, must be supported. Even where we are working, we should be able to amplify what we produce, to be able to cushion the effect of that which we cannot do because of insecurity.
So now the federal government has its food security roadmap, and how do we ensure that farm inputs given to farmers does not end in the hands of political farmers, and how do we also ensure that middlemen don't hoard this agricultural produce by the time it's available to the consumers?
Well, fortunately, I think in NTA we had Good Morning Nigeria with the minister, and these issues came up. And we suggested that there should be monitoring and evaluation. And among the team of people who will do that should be farmers who know where the shoe pinches and who will cry out when there are any acts of malfeasance from anybody. So if that is done, I think we will ensure that it goes to the real farmers. Not people who just claim that they are farmers. When you ask them to show you their farms, they have no farms. And they come to Abuja, with their suits, and they go to wherever and get anything. That's not agriculture. Agriculture takes place in the states and local governments, not in Abuja. So anybody who comes here and says he's a farmer, and because he knows this person or that person and gets anything and ends up selling it, is not a farmer. You should target the real farmers. You see, what I disparage or what I don't want to talk about is this. Some people who make a lot of noise are actually not farmers. The farmers hardly make noise. They hardly speak English. They don't even come here to talk. So we were in Hadejia with the minister. We escorted him to flag off the campaign for the dry season farming of wheat. We saw farmers. The farmers were all there. They were anxious to get all those things, and they have gotten them. They are now on the farm. They are not making noise or anything. They are not begging anybody to give them anything. Then if government is desirous of reaching out these farmers, they go through we are present in 774 local governments. We have leadership in all these local governments. So whatever you want to do to farmers, talk to AFAN. AFAN will take you to the farmers. You cannot be a member of AFAN as a farmer if you don't have a farm. If you have a farm in my village, for instance, we are like 90-something% agrarian. If you say you have a farm there and you are planting rice, let's say in the western part of the local government, I know that you are lying, because that place is rocky. Rice will not grow there. And the chairman of the wards where you claim will give me information whether you have a farm or you don't have. So it's very, very easy to find out who the farmers really are. And we have to do a survey, a census of farmers. Up to now, we don't have a real tangible data of farmers.
Then why was stopping us from having a tangible
data?
Well,
the efforts were made. If you remember that there was a minister who claimed to have, I think, gotten data of 2.3 million farmers or so. He was given 2.7 or 2.8 billion. I think he lost the job because he lied. Because I was in a meeting in the presidency, and when I was asked, I said I was not aware that they were doing that. And even if nobody likes me, for instance, in my village, my relations who go to the farm would tell me that, look, you say you are the president. Some people came around and were asking to know my farm size.
Why is AFAN not taking that responsibility? At least you are a big association.
Well, we are not government. We are an NGO.
Okay.
We are an NGO. This is government job, but we have our compendium.
Number of farmers is something that you should be interested.
I want you to listen to me very well.
Okay.
It takes a lot of money to do that.
Okay.
Everybody knows that. It takes a lot of money to do that. But we are aware that there is some money in the in the CBN, given by the World Bank. I think it's about $433 million. And there was a time that we suggested that through NIMSI, the data of farmers can be gotten using those resources. And we even signed an MOU with AfriDec. It was promoted by a former Minister of Agriculture. He is late now, Dr. Abaruma. We did a ceremony and we signed an MOU with him using the money in the CBN through NIMSI to be able to get data of all farmers in this country. That should be work in progress. We could exploit that.
Okay. So now, maybe you can share a perspective on a strategy to promote sustainable and environmentally friendly agricultural practice with us.
See, the need for sustainable agriculture and environment-friendly agriculture is predicated on even the requirements of SDGs, on climate change, and many other things. About 17 SDGs are there, and you must be able to align yourself to green production to be able to do that, because all the floods that you referred to in some of the commentaries you made are occasioned by climate change. So we must do smart agriculture, smart production, and we should stop being in denial of climate change. We should be able to farm around all those things, considering all those things to be there, and then we will be okay. There is a movement for Africa go green. There is a movement for the whole world to go green, and we should do that. We should simply reduce the emission of methane, and agriculture is one area where there is a lot of emission of methane. So it's a work in progress. Okay. Nigeria should do its bit. It has promised in COP27 and even here in COP28 that we are going to do something on climate change to reduce methane emission. So we should do that.
Okay, Architect Kabir Ibrahim, let me ask you this question before I let you go. We've seen in the past that there was this partnership between CBN and farmers, which led to the uncle borrowers that we've seen, and we've seen the impact. Now the CBN is saying that they would no longer be part of development finance. What does this mean for agriculture?
Well, I think they burnt their fingers because they didn't do it properly. You see, I was one of the people who escorted Mr. President then in 2015 to Kebbi State, where this was flagged off. It was, I think, something that was flagged up with 2.6 billion for both wheat and rice. Somehow, wheat was jettisoned. And before you knew it, within 3 months, I believe, even the state where we did the flag off had taken a loan of about 14.3 billion. And over time, we have had many discussions on Anko Borowa, to the extent that we are talking of trillions of naira being put on the production through Anko Borowa, prime anchors, and all interventions of the CBN into agriculture. Now, if you look at that quantum, that money, it is better to even buy the food with that money than to even give farmers. It's like going to produce 5 tons that will sell for 1 million by spending 5 million. Would you do that? Would you spend 5 million to get 1 million? This is what has happened. And because it was done wrongly, there are many, many complaints about it. And I think the former CBN governor was paying a lot of price for that. I mean, he was in jail for quite some time. He just got out now. And so those people, having seen what has happened, I don't think they will dare to do that. And they are not even experts in agriculture anyway.
Okay.
So what is CBN? CBN intervention is ad hoc. Okay. We told them that if they wanted it to have any meaning, it should be institutionalized. It should have been rooted through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Okay. This is not the only area that the CBN doubled into and burnt its fingers. As an architect, I participated in its intervention in physical development. Okay. Thank you very much. It spent a lot more money than even Federal Ministry of Works.
Okay, thank you very much, Architect Kabir.
Thank you very much, sir.
President of Farmers Association of Nigeria.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you.
Now, moving on. Oil prices edged higher on Friday after minutes from Federal Reserve meeting suggested inflation was under control, and as U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken prepared to visit the Middle East to prevent escalation in the Israel-Gaza conflict. Brent crude futures were up 37 cents to $77.96 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures rose 50 cents to $72.69. Both benchmarks, which are on track to end the first week of the year higher, had nearly recouped all losses from Thursday, when prices settled lower in a choppy session due to massive weekly gasoline and distillate stock builds. Gold prices slipped on Friday and were on track for their first weekly fall in 4, way down by a stronger dollar and higher bond yields, while investors keenly await U.S. non-farm payrolls data due later in the day. Let's see prices of commodities. Based on a technical analysis of the all-share index of the Nigerian exchange, chances are higher that the index will cross the 80,000 mark, that's all-share index, in the coming days through close observation of the different time frames of the NGX all-share index chart. There are signs that the market bullish run will persist for the next few trading days. An analysis of 15-minute time frame of the NGX all-share index chart shows a bullish run which is unlikely to retrace in the coming days. Despite a very short correction as observed in this cycle, the retrace is only providing support for the continuation of the bullish run which is expected to be observed in the market. Well, the equities market in Nigeria has continued its winning streak in the year as the NGX all-share index recorded its 4th straight day of gain this Friday to wrap up the week on a positive note. The all-share index rose to 79,664.66 basis point from 78,020.54 basis point recorded on Thursday. Market capitalization increased to 43.59 trillion naira. 892.6 million shares were traded on the floor of exchange, value at 14.328 billion naira in 13,019 deals. Now, Europe stocks tumble as global sentiment falters. Eurozone inflation rebounds. Let's now join Ineka Oko for global market update. Well, Ineka, you're welcome back. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Musa. Hello and welcome to the global market segment. Asia-Pacific markets were mixed on Friday after falling for the first few trading days of the new year, with most stocks clocking declines at the end of the first week of this year. The Hang Seng Index fell 0.66%. The Shanghai Composite also declined 0.85%, while in Japan, the Nikkei 225 bucked the trend and closed 0.27% up. In Europe, markets were lower, rounding off an unsteady first week of the new year. The DAX is down 0.75%, UK FTSE 0.87%, and the French CAC depreciated by 1.07%. Stock futures in the U.S. slipped as well as Wall Street tried to shake off a sluggish start to January. Futures tied to the Dow Jones Industrial Average ticked down 79 points. S&P 500 depreciated by 0.26%, and Nasdaq Composite declined 0.36%. Now, stocks in Africa, like those in Europe and US, also fell this Friday. The JSE Africa Top 40 in South Africa lost 1.01%. Tunisia's stock index also lost 0.13%, while Namibia's overall index is taking up 0.02%. And that's Global Market Review. It's back to you, Musa.
Well, not so good for markets out there, but a kind of mixed feeling. Well, that's it. This is where we end this edition of Business Express. Business Express returns Monday at 3 p.m. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your weekend.